Greetings YouTube! If you are clicking on this video days, weeks, or even months after it's been posted, today may not mean anything to you, but it is August 15th, 2019, and that is really important because we have known for weeks now that today at approximately 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, or midnight across the pond, we have in the Summoner Appreciation Calendar on day 47, the 4-star generic Awakening Gem available in 5 hours and 16 minutes. Now, if you're like me and you're mostly concerned about in-game content, unless there is a particular 4-star that you have that's new, that is not awakened, that maybe can help with some synergies in, say, Variant 3, which at the time of recording this came out this week, you're probably not going to think much about this item, but there are so many what I like to call middle-class MCSC users that really, really need this. Particularly those of you watching this who you're finally going to use this opportunity with this free item to push yourself to become Uncollected, which is a fantastic goal in the game. I get asked from time to time, Prof, should I 100% explore Act 4 before becoming Uncollected with Act 5.2? The answer for me is always, heck no. That's dumb. Why is it dumb? Because when you become Uncollected, you get better daily crystals and especially 4-hour crystals, which can give you better items to assist you in 100% completing Act 4. So you're going to do yourself a favor for free in the long run if you just become Uncollected and then go back. So this video today is going to be a little different because it is all about using the item that you're going to get in hopefully about 5 hours at the time of recording this to beat the Collector. If you've already beaten the Collector, thanks for tuning in, I guess, but this isn't going to benefit you like those of you who really are trying to push yourself. I'm going to do something different in this video, and that's give you a few tips on some champions that, if all things were equal, and we were just talking about the best champions to awaken in general, may not be at the top of my normal list, but for this particular purpose, given the context of the questions I've been asked in the past couple of weeks and just knowing the goals of those summoners that I just talked about, this is a special video for the purpose of the Collector. So what I'm going to do, as always, is I'm going to go between classes, and I'll try to do that relatively quickly, knowing that we have over 100 different champions to talk about. There are also champions that I don't have that are newer, that may or may not be good for the Collector, even awakened, such as Namor. I don't know. I've never seen a fight with Namor against the Collector. I couldn't tell you if he's a better option than the people I'm going to list. But I can tell you, based off of awakened ability, some of the people that I would highly recommend that you try. And some of this I haven't tried. I've just been told from people who tried it out. I also know that there are a lot of people watching this who maybe only have 1 or 2 good options against the Collector. It's not like the roster you see in front of you, which has had 4+ years to gain 4-star champions. So there's just a few champions for some users that may work, and that's why this video is so important to you. So when we talk about champions that need to be awakened, Captain America Infinity War is at the top of the science list. Now, some might say, normally, that Void, of course, is right along with them, but I don't think Void is going to really have the chance to last long enough against the Collector as Captain America Infinity War. And for that matter, I think I've seen a couple of pretty decent videos regarding Spider-Gwen and She-Hulk, who both also get better when you awaken them against the Collector. I wouldn't recommend them as much as I would, say, Captain America Infinity War, but they are worth nominating. The champion that I would not put as high normally in this class if you just had this gem in general, but I'm going to put high for the Collector because you last longer with the Indestructible, and that is Luke Cage. Luke Cage's awakened ability could last a little bit longer in that fight and ultimately save you units, potions, and a revive. So, Luke Cage, as the 4-star generic awakening gem, gets a top billing for me in this class. I know we just spent about a minute on that class, but I always try to be as fast with your time as possible, so we are jumping ahead. The champion in the class you see in front of you, the skill class, that again, normally I wouldn't say you should do this because Blade is going to be... Blade and Aegon probably are the two champions in front of me that I think got to awaken him. But for the sake of the collector, Daredevil Classic, especially if you have a lot of 6 stones that you can pump into him, is a no-brainer to use today's gem on. You get up to 100% chance to auto-evade projectiles. Now, given with the collector, the ability accuracy reduction does deteriorate over time, so there will reach a point where he probably won't dodge projectiles, but you'll last longer in the fight. Yes, I wish Daredevil Classic hit harder, but for the sake of argument, in the context of this video, I highly endorse you use your 4-star Awakening Gem on Daredevil Classic. If you prefer Black Widow, that's another solid champion, though of course her Awaken ability is different. I also want to say that there are great champs like Hawkeye against the Collector who do not need to be awakened. Gwenpool is a great option as well because Gwenpool's Awaken ability gives her the ability to tank specials and not die. So, Gwenpool right up there with Daredevil Classic. I also want to say a new addition to this is Nick Fury. Not just great with synergies. If you have the ability to take Nick Fury up, I can see that being valuable against the Collector, but personally, I wouldn't put him on the same level as Gwenpool or certainly Daredevil Classic. There are other champions we could talk about, but we have 6 classes to get through, so we're moving on. When it comes to the Collector, I have seen fantastic videos from newer people, because keep in mind, a lot of these champions, when the Collector first came out, they did not exist. In fact, they wouldn't exist for years after that fight was brought to the contest. Archangel, if you can get the parries and the heavies in, or if you can bait the heavy and counter with the heavy, Archangel Awaken could do a lot of damage. Omega Red could also do a considerable amount of damage. Wolverine, if you can last with that advanced regen, is pretty dang good. But I just think, for the sake of the assumption that the fight's not going to last very long, I wouldn't recommend Wolverine as much as Omega Red or Archangel. You've got other strong champions normally, like Iceman and Rogue and Havoc, Psylocke for power control. Domino does not need to be awakened to be effective against the Collector. I've also been told that Emma Frost, though, like many champions, can benefit, still can do work against the Collector unawakened. Haven't tried that before, so if you have, maybe comment below your thoughts on that. Storm Awakened can certainly do a decent amount of damage. You just have to make sure you can get to the specials for at least a special 1, but ideally a special 2. I would not put Storm in the same category as I would the aforementioned Archangel and Omega Red. All right, we are jumping ahead. We are halfway through the classes. I realize this is going pretty fast, but I'm trying to do pretty efficient work. I think with the new post-beta test of Venom Awakened, such a fun champion to play, you might consider awakening Venom and using him. Medusa, I'm kind of on the fence about. I don't think I would have the skills or the patience to be as good with Medusa as some people, but maybe you find she's a good option. OG Thor pre-patch 12.0 would have been maybe the top choice in this class, but now still solid, but not to the level of some others. Hyperion does not need to be awakened to do the work that he will do. Cole Obsidian also could do some fantastic damage, though I don't think he needs to be awakened to do most of that damage. The new Captain Marvel movie with the Indestructible, fantastic candidate for this fight, particularly if you can last, right, and gain some power. Venom the Duck, maybe one of the best Collector fights I've seen lately came from Venom the Duck, but he was not awakened, so really don't need him. Corvus, amazing opportunity for those guaranteed critical hits, does not need to be awakened to be strong in that fight. I want to give a honorable mention to Captain Marvel movie because the classic, or the non-movie I should say, the classic version is the only Captain Marvel that was available when I went for Uncollected, and I did use her on my team, and she was able to do quite a bit of damage, and she was just at rank 4. So wanted to go ahead and shout her out. Now when it comes to tech, I would normally not put Stark Spidey as the no-brainer to awaken in this class. In fact, champs like Vision and Star-Lord get the bill above Stark Spidey. But in this case, I still think if you can play Stark Spidey well and you can build up those poise charges, Stark Spidey is the best champion against the Collector. And so certainly, even if you don't have, say, the Blade synergy, awaken Stark Spidey, and you will be so thankful to have that added awakened ability against the Collector. Some honorable mentions. I've seen a couple Darkhawk fights. I am not good with Darkhawk. I've seen some Sentinel fights that do pretty well. Also not great with Sentinel. But those are two champs that I would name in this class. Ghost is what some people would call the best power control champ in the game because the enemy is usually dead by the time they gain power. I am getting better at Ghost. Certainly this new variant content is going to challenge me to do just that. If you're a great Ghost player, the Collector is still going to be a useful fight, but Ghost has such a learning curve that even compared to somebody like Stark Spidey, I just wouldn't recommend as much. But if you're great at fighting with Ghost and you don't have your Ghost Awaken and you use Ghost for most things, Ghost is also going to help you so much down the line after becoming Uncollected in Act 5 that it's a no-brainer to use the Awakening Gem on her, and it makes a lot of sense. Star-Lord, now given there was a 5-star Star-Lord, but Star-Lord was my MVP for much of Act 5. He is so underappreciated because he's just so old in the game at this point. And so if Star-Lord is your best champion, maybe against the Collector won't be as good, but I'm also trying to think about in context of giving you a chance to complete within a reasonable amount of deaths the rest of Act 5. If you've got Star-Lord, it's going to be hard-pressed to find a better champion to awaken, particularly because he's so hard to pull in the 4-star Crystal. All right, we're finally on the Mystic class. Scarlet Witch, even though she is not the cheat code she once was, I still tell people all the time, if you can awaken her, if you have Scarlet Witch, do it. You're going to find a hard time getting her awakened naturally in the Crystal. That used to be the case when there were only like 60 champs. Now there's, 150? Dr. Voodoo is at the top of my list of this video. I have seen some amazing Dr. Voodoo versus the Collector kills. If you are good with Dr. Voodoo, and if you know how to, stay alive relatively long enough to fire off the specials, even just the special one, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a better champion to awaken with today's generic 4-star gem. Ghost Rider is fine unawakened. I wish I could talk about Doctor Strange, but we're past patch 12.0. Honorable mentions, well, two champs. Magic and Dormammu. I've never seen a Symbiote Supreme against the Collector. He does not need to be awakened to be good, but I'm imagining some people would fight well. But this is going to shock a lot of people, and maybe you'll roll your eyes. But this was my MVP against the Collector back in the day. Why? Because when Juggernaut is awakened, you have the guaranteed unstoppable at the beginning of the fight. So I would just intercept and charge automatically. And I would maybe only do about, 3,000 to 4,000 damage. And then after that, if there was any regen at all for the Collector, I would just do a force quit and restart the fight and just use a level 1 revive, 20% health regen, because I knew I wasn't going to last very long anyway, and I would just have a guaranteed window to do damage because there was no chance that the intercept from the Collector was going to break my Unstoppable. The same, I'm sure, is true with Unstoppable Colossus. Is this the best option? No, but it is an option. And as I said at the beginning of this video, some people watching this don't have a big roster, so they're kind of hard-pressed to find the best options. And if you want to become Uncollected pretty soon, you can't just talk about the best of the best champions. You have to talk about champs like Juggernaut that maybe get overlooked but can still help you. My goal was to get this video in under 15 minutes, and we're at about 14 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here and just say I'm sure there are plenty of honorable mention options that I didn't have time to cover or simply don't have the knowledge and my experience to shout out. But that's where the comment section of this video comes in. Please help out your fellow summoners who are pushing to use today's item to become Uncollected and let them know who you would recommend awakening, and maybe if it helped you, that would be a helpful comment as well. Like the comment, maybe the best one I'll pin. I just want this to help people become Uncollected because it's such an important milestone in the game. Thanks for watching, YouTube. Have a great day.